This will be talking about all of the location possibilities of Forza Horizon 6, exactly what we can kind of expect, touching on some existing rumors and leaks, and generally talking about what's been popular in the community as of late, as Forza Horizon 6 is pretty much the key topic as Forza Horizon 5 is coming to a bit of a close. And whilst Horizon 5 will be able to go out with a bit of glory with this big all of a sudden PS5 update, generally speaking there won't be too much more in terms of big updates and car releases, as Horizon 6 will pretty much certainly be released within 12 months from now. Now, in terms of Horizon 6, one thing that's off the bat that will be quite interesting is of course the fact that it's very likely to be a new Forza engine, and as a result will only be new gen consoles. So when I say new engine, pretty much like you see Counter-Strike 2 for instance, they've revamped the game from CSGO to Counter-Strike 2 with a new engine, which pretty much means better video graphics, etc. It'll be more physically demanding on the hardware, as it just wouldn't be sufficient to run on Xbox One at the standard of which they'd want to go ahead and portray onto the player base. Now, will it be on PS5? It's yet to be determined. It's probably unlikely Forza Horizon 6 will be available on PS5 from the release date, but even the Xbox Games CEO had made a comment probably a few months ago saying that Xbox are no longer really trying to be interested in competing with PlayStation 5 or Sony per se on these exclusive concept releases where they're only launching on Xbox and PC, as evidently hasn't been super successful and they'd be losing a lot of revenue. So if that decision does go through Horizon 6, it will probably be on PS5 as well, but of course that's kind of a smaller detail yet to be determined. Now, the first location to get right into it is of course going to be Japan. This is obviously going to be on this list. Japan has been one of the most fan favorite lists or map locations pretty much since the dawn of time. At one stage it was tossed up this as being an idea of Horizon 5, but of course we ended up getting Mexico, which was pretty last minute and out of the blue. But Japan, on pretty much every single realm, is a perfect opportunity. The car scene is great. There's a lot of great areas and significant moments of car history within Japan, Tokyo, drifting areas, etc. And like I said, the JDM cars would be a great fit for a game like Forza. Now, in terms of information that supports this, we have actually seen a few different map concepts over time. Now, some of these were directly from game files, which were very well put together and articulate maps, almost as if they're on the drawing board for it to be in Japan at one stage or is going to be in Japan, and these are on the back burner, whereas other maps are kind of just community fan-made concepts that were made after these came to light for people trying to shed light on what they'd want to see, etc., if it was in their control and going to be in Japan. This is a little bit indicative that obviously thought was put towards Japan being a location at one stage in the Forza team, given the fact some of these leaks were actually officially from the game files or even from developers via forums or leaks, conversations, etc. However, it's not necessarily indicative that it would be the case. Even if Forza were to be in Japan, there'd be many different locations that would be tossed up before they come to the one idea. I imagine they might go through multiple map locations, make a couple test maps to see what could be possible, see the licensing limitations, etc. before they finally bounce on one. So that's of course one thing to consider and one very good option, but it's not really certain as to whether we'll be able to see this come into fruition. Now, next up is going to be Germany. Now, this is the most likely location for Forza Horizon 5 at the moment. We have, of course, seen a lot of talk about this. When you think about Germany, just like Japan, there's a lot of potential. I mean, it's pretty perfect. You've got the Autobahn, you've got the Nürburgring, you've got Audi, Porsche, BMW, Mercedes, the behemoths in the car industry, and of course, many more on top of that. So that would always be one location for consideration. Now, in terms of a cover car, this also works pretty well. It could be something like the Porsche 911 GT3 992, or it could be something like the Porsche Mission X, which is yet to be released, or even the Apollo IE. Now, usually I would trend towards the car being a car that isn't released yet, as it will kind of be a big boom moment as new game, new car, cover, etc. Like what we've seen with pretty much every other game, you wouldn't usually see a car already in the game be the cover car, but for a car as significant in the car scene as a GT3 911 992, I wouldn't be surprised if they could still pull off of that, even though it's already in Horizon 5. Now, on top of that, like I said guys, the car scene is perfect, the map is perfect, and even one little indicating feature is the fact that Forza recently set up a German social media page. Now, the reason why this is relevant is because there are not many social media pages in non-English languages, and the last time one was made was in Spanish 1 month before Forza Horizon 5 was announced as being in Mexico, so it was certainly quite a coincidence. Now, whether the game will be in Germany or not, obviously Germany would be a pretty substantial demographic within their player base, but it's an interesting coincidence when in the past, so the same was done with Forza Horizon 2, which was partially in France. They also set up a French and of course Italian social media page for that exact game as well. So a little bit of a trend, not guaranteeing it's going to be in Germany, but definitely something interesting to keep in the back of our minds. Now, another location is actually going to be China. Now, we've seen Forza in the past have a bit of particular preference towards the Chinese player base in terms of the fact that, for example, there's a custom version of Forza just for the Chinese demographic. This is mostly for compliance reasons, as China do not allow certain things to be in the game like skulls or blood. Not that be in blood in Forza, but it's just a relevant consideration. So in order for a game to be compliant in China, there pretty much has to be its own reason, or own version of the game, sorry. But one thing on top of that is that China have also received their own custom updates. For instance, there have been multiple events, including one related to Chinese New Year not too long ago, at least last year's Chinese New Year, specifically for the Chinese version of the game, which we did not get. On top of that, at one stage, not so much anymore as the new car releases have slowed down, but I'm sure you guys might remember there was probably a 12-month stretch where there was a new Chinese car added into the game every other month, whether it was an MG car or other things of that nature. They were very frequently being added, and that was pretty indicative that they were obviously paying particular attention to this demographic of theirs, which is pretty big. Now, the Chinese demographic is definitely bigger than what most people think. It's a huge market. It wouldn't be quite as big as the US, for instance, for Forza in particular, but it's definitely a big market, and China could potentially be a possibility, whether you like it or not, because some people will initially be against it because of political reasons, but despite that, China's a great location for it. A lot of different biomes and environments which could support the much needed balance needed for Forza game. Very diverse map, and of course the fact that there would be a lot of different Chinese cars to back this up. And just quickly, most of you watching this video right now are not subscribed to the channel, so if you want to help us hit 150k and stay up to date with the best Forza glitches, content, news and more, be sure to tap that button. It really helps out a lot. Now, of course, they're probably not quite the German lineup of cars, but they could be sufficient for a game title, so it's something to consider. Now, in terms of other locations, there are, of course, different ones like Dubai, the UAE, and even different variations of the US, as, of course, while we've seen Forza Horizon 1 based in Colorado, the US is obviously a very big country. There could be various locations. For example, imagine a Forza Horizon 6 based primarily in Miami. It'd pretty much be like GTA 6, a crazy location, which could also always give a bit of a vibe like Forza Horizon 3 when you're driving along the beach with a huge city, and I'll actually get to that with the next location soon as well. So Miami could be a crazy location. That's purely just speculation. Nothing is indicative it could be the case, but it's something to keep in mind as well. And of course, things like Dubai could be as well. You know, there's huge funding from Dubai in particular for certain games to be in their location or certain tourist attractions to bring attention to the area, and that could definitely be a logical placement for Forza. It's definitely not as diverse as something like Germany, even Mexico, for instance, but I mean, it could be possible, and we all know there are some pretty crazy cars casually driving around Dubai. Now, the last location I'll be discussing throughout the course of this video is, of course, going to be Brazil, which actually got a lot of attention previously. At one stage, it was one of the contenders, or the primary contenders, for the location of Forza Horizon 5. Just like Horizon 3 based in Service Paradise, when you're driving along the beach with the huge skyscrapers in the back, it could be just like that with Brazil and Sao Paulo, as well as, of course, Rio de Janeiro would surely have to have a little bit of significance within that map location as well. Whilst Brazil certainly does not have any car scene to back it up, in particular, really neither does Mexico. There doesn't necessarily need to be a correlation between one country's sort of demographic of car manufacturers and their overall car scene and where Forza could be based, or whether Forza could be based in that certain country. Like I said, Mexico is a good example, really not known for its car scene or car manufacturers, yet we're still driving around this map as we speak, so it's very possible we could still see locations like Brazil, Dubai, and even China without a huge car scene coming behind it, or lineup of different manufacturers. But comment down below which one of these options is your favorite, where you want to see Forza Horizon 6 base. I'm very curious to see your guys' thoughts, and right now, like I said, it's looking like the popular contenders will be Germany or Japan, but only time will tell.